Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhupada ki jai. Sunday? How are you today?
I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah, good reason to be happy. It'll get place here. How long did it take to do it? 2 years? 2 years?
2 years.
Whatever you want me to do, not next time.
And morning we do Bhagavatam. And we are doing Prithu Maharaj only.
What?
We are on Prithu Maharaj. Okay, this is it. Can you see? Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, pranam Madhu, Danda pranam.
Hare Krishna
Prabhuji, pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Pranam Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Danda
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji. Danda
Krishna
Pranam.
Prabhuji, Danda Pranam.
Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandar Pranam.
They all talk together at the same time, 25 people.
I just switched it on. I wanted them to greet you.
What is the shloka number today?
27.
Huh?
27 Prabhuji.
We've reached 27, okay. 26.
They had a computer for many years. It was a lot of money, but music as a classic. What's that?
But this is the audio receiver. This is improve the quality of audio. Yes, audio. We have on the fourth canto, the glories of Prithu Maharaj.
That one?
Yeah, this is the one. You want me to put this in the front? You can talk to them. I can put all of them video. Maybe after some time.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kaitinu Patayeta. Ekadasha Mahabhataha. Itava Lalanat Subru. Yukam Tehi Purasada. Kaitinu Patayeta. Ikadasa Mahabhataha. Itava Lalana Subru. Koyam Tehi Purasadaha. Kaitinu Patayeta. Kaitinu Patayeta. Mahadasa Mahabhataha. Itava Lalanat Subru. Koya Tehi Purasadaha. Somebody?
This is by mistake we opened 25th chapter. It is 21st. I'll just change the shloka.
We make a mistake. It's supposed to be 24. He said it must be 24.
4:21.27. Yes, Prabhuji.
Asiyagya patir nama Sansit arha satamaha Ihamutra salaksyante Junavataha kratit uvaha Asiyagya patir nama Kisa sit arha satamaha Yamutra chalaksyante Yajnavatya pratit uvaha. Sorry. And there is Sriyapatir Nama Agnansita Tatsana. How do we move that? Asti, there must be. Yagapati, the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Nama, of the name. Kisanchit, in the opinion of some. Ara Samataha, who most respectable. Iha, in this world. Amutra, after death. Cha, also. Lakshyanti, it is visible. Yotshyavataha, powerful, beautiful. Kvachit, somewhere. Uvaha, bodies. My dear respectable ladies and gentlemen, according to authoritative statement of Shastra, there must be a supreme authority who is able to award the respective benefits of our present activities. Otherwise, why should there be a person who are unusually beautiful and powerful both in this life and in the life after death? Prithu Maharaj's sole aim in ruling his kingdom was to raise the citizens to the standard of God consciousness. Since there was a great assembly in the arena of sacrifice, there were different types of men present, but he was especially interested in speaking to those who were not atheists. It's already explained in the previous verse. Then Prithu Maharaj advised the citizens to become Akshajadiya, which means God conscious or Krishna conscious. In this verse specifically presents the authority of Shastras, even though his father was the number one atheist who did not abide by the instructions mentioned in the Vedic Shastras, who practically stopped all sacrificial performances and were so disgusted that Brahmanas that they not only disowned him but cursed him and killed him. Atheist men who do not believe in the existence of God and thus understand everything which is happening in our daily affairs to be due to physical arrangement and chance. Atheists believe in the atheistic Shankya philosophy as a combination of Prakriti and Purusha. They believe only in matter and hold that matter under certain conditions of amalgamation gives rise to the living force, which then appears as Purusha, the enjoyer. Then by combination of matter and the living force, the many varieties of material manifestations comes into existence. Nor do atheists believe in the injunctions of the Vedas. According to them, all Vedic injunctions are simply theories that have no practical application in life. Taking all this into consideration, Prithu Maharaj suggested that theistic men will solidly reject the views of the atheists on the grounds that there cannot be varieties of existence without the plan of superior intelligence. Atheists have very vaguely explained that these varieties of existence occur simply by chance, but the theists who believe in the injunctions of the Vedas must reach all their conclusions under the directions of the Vedas. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said that the entire Varnashram institution is meant to satisfy Supreme Lord. Rules and regulations are set up for the execution of duties of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras, Brahmacharis, Vyasas, Vanaprasthas and Sannyasis, all meant to satisfy the Supreme Lord. At the present moment, all those so-called Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras have lost their original culture. They claim to be Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras by birthright. Yet they have rejected the proposition that such social and spiritual orders are especially meant to worship Vishnu. The dangerous Mayavad philosophy set forward by Shankaracharya that God is impersonal does not rally with the injunctions of the Vedas, does not tally with the injunctions of the Vedas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore describes the Maya philosophy as the greatest offenders against the personality of Godhead. According to the Vedic system, one who does not abide by the orders of the Vedas is called Nastiki or atheist. When Lord Buddha preached the theory of non-violence, he was obliged to deny the authorities of the Vedas, and for this reason he was considered by the followers of the Vedas to be Nastika. But although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very clearly enunciated that the followers of Lord Buddha's philosophy are Nastikas or atheists because of their denial of the authorities of the Vedas, he considered the Shankarites who want to establish Vedic authorities by trickery and who actually followed the Mayavad philosophy of the Buddha school to be more dangerous than Buddhists themselves. The Shankara philosophers' theory that we have to imagine a shape of God is more dangerous than the denial of the existence of God. Notwithstanding all the philosophical theorizing by the atheists or Mayavadis, the followers of Krishna consciousness basically live according to the injunctions in Bhagavad Gita, which is accepted as the essence of all Vedic scriptures. In Bhagavad Gita it says, Yatha praviti bhutanam, yena sarvamidam tatam, svakamana tam abhyachya, siddhim vindanti manava. By worshipping the Lord, who is the source of all living beings and is all-pervading, man can, in the perfection of his own duty, attain perfection. This indicates that the Supreme Personality of God is the only source of everything as described in the Vedanta Sutras, Janmadiyasya Yatha. Lord himself also confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Savasya Prabhava, I am the source of everything. Supreme Personality of God is original. The original source of all emanations, at the same time as Paramatma is spread all over existence. Supreme Lord, the Supreme Truth is therefore the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and every living being is meant to satisfy Supreme Godhead by performing his respectful duties, Swakamana Tam Avacharya. Maj Prithu, What happened? Well,
One minute, please.
Maj Prithu wanted to introduce this formula among his citizens. The most important point in human civilization is that while one is engaged in different occupational duties, he must try to satisfy the Supreme Lord by execution of such duties. That is the highest perfection of life. Swanushtitasya dharmasya samsiri haritoshanam. By discharging one's described duty, one becomes very successful in life, simply satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The vivid Arjuna, the example is Arjuna. He was a Kshatriya, his duty was to fight, and by executing his prescribed duty, he satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead and became perfect. Everyone must follow this principle. The atheists who do not are condemned in Bhagavad Gita by the following statement, Tan aham vishataha krudan samsareshu nararaman. In this verse it is clearly said that persons who are envious of the Supreme Lord are the lords of mankind are very mischievous. Under the regulated principle of the Supreme, such mischievous persons are thrown into the darkest region of material existence, are born of asuras or atheists. Birth after birth as a sura who slip further down finally to animal forms like those of tigers or similar ferocious beasts. Thus for millions of years they have to remain in darkness without knowledge of Krishna. This is a huge, gigantic purpose. I think we stop right here. We stop right here. Oma Gyan Kiminandasya Gunarjuna Shlaka Chakshun Umnitam Yena Tasmai Sigurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manuvishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Siguru Shilta Padakamalam Sigurta Vaishnavancha Sirupam Sigajatan Sagara Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Svaduta Pajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sriradha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitam Sham. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kantana Mustate Tapta Kanchana Gurangi Radhe Vindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Siddhadeni Pranamani Hari Prev Vanchakalpatruvyasya Kripa Sindhu Chapa Chanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavi Vinona Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Radha Sri Govinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna. So the goal of life is to fulfill Dharma, and not any Dharma, not Hindu Dharma or Christian Dharma, Sanatana Dharma. In the spiritual world, naturally, everybody is engaged in a loving relationship with Krishna and is engaged in serving Krishna. But if there's a little envy there, a little bit of discontent in this position, then we are sent to the material world. In the biblical tradition, there's an interesting story. There was one tree There's an interesting story. There was one tree, it was called the forbidden tree. And nobody is allowed to eat from this tree. You know that story? Nobody was allowed. So then Adam and Eve, his name was actually Dharma. He became Adharma. He became Adharma by the following thing. They actually saw the forbidden tree, and Maya came in the form of a snake and told him, if you eat from this tree, you become as good as God. And that is a very graphic description that we can eat all kinds of trees in the spiritual world, but if you want to become as good as God. And Adam tried to stay away from this tree, but Eve was very weak. So she listened to the snake, that you become as good as God. And she decided to take a bite. And that bite you see on the logos of Apple computers. It's in the beginning there was an apple. In other words, and that bite led us into the material world, because everybody who is here, he has the same kind of mentality. There is the idea to enjoy separately from Krishna. And we are falling into the material world deeper and deeper. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, of course, pointed out that this story of Adam and Eve is not to be taken literally. It is a parable. He said, how do you call it? Yeah, he said it's an allegorical story. It's an allegorical story because by the end of the day, we all fell from the spiritual sky. And this is unknown to Christians and generally all Muslims or Jewish people. And we actually came from the spiritual world. And here we are in this material world because we wanted to enjoy independently, and even here in the material world, we want to follow Dharma. Like the United States of America is the most undharmic place also in the world, probably. I have been in Africa, and I see even in Africa, people are very religious, the wives are following the husbands, and people go to church, and this one African boy I brought from Nairobi, his grandparents never killed a cow, his parents don't kill a cow because they say the cow is he gives us milk, he gives us butter, how can you kill, how can we be so ungrateful? So, particularly America is very fallen from, and nothing is natural anymore. I mean, even in Denmark, you can have two passports. One you can be Sven, a boy, and you can have another one, Svenja. It means a girl. So you can choose whether you want to be a girl today or a boy tomorrow. You have two passports, two identities, two genders. And that's accessible for everybody. Everybody can have two passports. So this will not happen under the rule of Maharaj Prithu, no doubt. Because Savai Pungsam Paro Dharmo Yathu Bhaktir Athoksade. Dharma is there to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what is Dharma, what is not Dharma, is not up to the decision of materialistic people. It's not up to decide what is Dharma. In the absence of knowledge, we decide what is truth and what is not true. I mean, that's the example that there is no pre-existence of the soul was decided in the Christian church on the Council of Constantinople in the year 530 by vote, by a democratic process. Who believes there is a pre-existence of the soul? 5 only. Who believes the soul didn't pre-exist? The majority. So there is no pre-existence of the soul. So truth has never been decided upon by a democratic process. Truth is what it is. And so what is Dharma and what is not Dharma? We have to learn from Vedic scriptures. And great sages, they believe in Shastra. It's a verse of Chanakya Pandit. He said, the king sees through his spies. Like a king has spies. Like Putin, he knows that you boys are here. Right? Mr. Putin knows you're sitting right here in this temple. The KGB is everywhere. And so the king sees through his spies, the cow sees through the nose. And when you go to a cow, she sniffs your hand, right? Always, you know. And in Germany, very graphic example, in the fields, Germany and all these European countries are very green, particular islands, very green country, because a lot of rain. And so you see these fields, they're grazed empty by the cows. But there's these humps of this size where the grass is extra green. It's the best grass, but the cows don't touch it. Why is it green? Because one cow passed through there. So the cow can smell that. She can smell that. There's a stool. She will not touch it. But next year, she smells the green humps, and these are the first humps there. You see the fields, they systematically look for the green humps. They eat them first. Because the cow is free to the nose. And he said the human being, he sees through his mind. You know, whatever comes into his mind, he believes to be truth. And the sage, he sees through Shastra, Shastra Chakshu. So it is not possible to understand God by any of the speculative processes we have in the material world. I mean, you have, for example, this huge particle accelerator. Switzerland is about 27 kilometers diameter, where particles are accelerated by a magnetic process, faster and faster and faster, and then they're rammed into another section of particles that led into another curve, and then they try to, imitate or experience the Big Bang. They will never be able to understand God, because Krishna is always ahead of Mother Yashoda. You know, no matter how fast Mother Yashoda runs, Krishna is always a step ahead. All the theories, any material theories, is subject to destruction in due course of time. It pass away. It's a big thing. Some new thing comes the latest, and then after some time you see, here's the latest. And we hear this, the latest, and it comes closer and closer maybe, but ultimately we'll never be able to reach Krishna because the origin of the universe is simple. It's the Mahavishnu lying in the causal ocean. That's the origin right there. You don't have to go any further. By research you cannot. What did Rupa Goswami, who was it? Jiva Goswami described in the Tattva Sandarbhas that there are three ways of knowing. One is by direct perception, like when you look out of this window in the early morning, the sun is this big, like a pancake maybe, and very red and very pleasant. Tactile senses tell you it's very nice, warm. At noon it becomes unbearable, particularly in Mangalore. In summer, it becomes unbearable. You cannot stay in the sun. Everybody's hiding into air conditioning. And in the evening it is again. So this is by direct perception, pratyaksha. And then there's another process by anumana. Anu means to follow the mind, and anumana by mental speculation and research. Scientific research is another way of anumana, that you try by your own capacity to understand this which is inconceivable. You cannot, I mean, like for example, we have some of our sannyasis went to see Mount Kailash, Satchinananda Swami, and who was at Indaluna Maharaj. And what did they see? They see a beautiful mountain, Kailash, very beautiful, inhospitable. You can't stay there overnight, you freeze to death. And that's all people see, all. But we know from Shastra that on a higher level, if you have access to that, access to higher reality, then you can see there's a huge banyan tree and Lord Shiva is sitting there and Kumaras are there and beautiful mountains and waterfalls and so many beautiful things. We cannot see as humans. We don't have the access to it. That's like when you go into a company, you may get a key card, right? And the ordinary worker, he can go into the workshop, the working area where the work is done. He can go to the canteen, he may go to the bathroom, but that's all. And then somebody else comes here, the card looks exactly the same, but he can go to middle management, and where there's planning and design and the treasury is, the money, everything is there, not accessible to the people who are laborers, who are workforce. Even higher, you can have access to the boardroom of the directors. Even if you have the ultimate card, you can go to the penthouse where the boss is living. So the whole world is based on accessibility. You cannot explain when people are like buffaloes, you cannot explain to them Bhagavad Gita because they don't have access to that. You can preach to a buffalo up to the end of Kali Yuga, and he will not be able to understand because he doesn't have the credentials to come Krishna consciousness and appreciate this philosophy. You have a higher access card. That's why we fell for this. I just needed to read a book, and I realized this is it that I was looking for. I couldn't find it. When I read Prabhupada's books, I was thinking along these lines, but I had never seen such a perfect explanation of that, what I believed in, to be true. And so the accessibility is vastly increased. That's why we say you cannot buy a ticket to go to Vrindavan. You can go there, I go there hundreds of times, but what do I see? I see pigs roaming and Valas in the Valas try to cheat me and the dogs are howling and the traffic is there. But when Rupa Goswami was sitting at Radha Kunda, he heard some beautiful singing, and he looked up. The tree was extended to hundreds of yards. It was a huge tree, and in the top there was a swing. It was Radha and Krishna and the gopis were in this swing and enjoying each other's relationship. So in the same place, somebody else sees nothing. Just like if you would invite a mouse here into this temple right now, right? She will run from here to there, from there to there, until her conclusion is there's no cheese here. And she will try to find the kitchen where there's a cheese in the fridge, right? So they don't understand, even if they stand in front of the deities. We have seen this in Ireland when people come, materialistic people, they say you have a very beautiful altar. They don't even see the deities, because they're so blinded by the material opulence of a beautiful altar. So the excess, it was not me, the excess, the accessibility is vastly increased with Krishna consciousness. That's why Krishna said, only for undivided devotion can I be seen as I am, standing before you. He gave, Arjuna could not see. He said, Krishna said, the form you cannot see, but I give you divine eyes. And then Krishna gave him divine eyes. Then he got a higher access card from one moment to another. So if you see the whole human society, that people have different degrees of accessibility to truth. And many people stay completely enwrapped in their mundane religiosity and cannot even think any further. Say somebody is a scientist, a nuclear scientist. Everything is done by mathematics and by logic, reason, argument. And when he goes to church, what does he do with his brain? He leaves his brain in the parking lot, practically speaking. Right? He leaves his brain in the parking lot because he doesn't think. Why do the innocent suffer, for example? There's no answer. In Western religiosity, we have the answer because we understand previous life, karma devanetina. As Krishna says, under my supervision, everything takes place. And everybody gets the karmic reactions of his previous doings. Everything is very logical. And so materialistic people are able to, in one sense, believe religiosity which is not reasonable. They believe in an unreasonable religiosity. But everything else they do is reasonable. Working hard and putting one and one together as being two. And but in Krishna consciousness we understand that this pratyaksha, material pratyaksha, direct perception or mental speculation are just two stages of acquiring knowledge. The ultimate is Shastra Chakra. We can see. In due course of time, now we can at least understand the technology how to get there. And in due course of time, Prabhupada told us, from one moment to another, the truth is revealed to us. From one moment to another. Like the Prabhupada says, like a cloud, you fly with your plane in the clouds, you cannot see anything, and all of a sudden the curtain opens and you see here are the clouds and here's the plane and here's everything. So it is a matter of accessibility, and therefore we are advised to listen to Shastra. And if not, blood. Yashastram vidimuchija vatate kama karada, one who does not listen to Shastra, na sasigim, no perfection, avapati, no sukham, no happiness, na padam gatim, nor will it reach a supreme destination. And so materialistic people, they go from life to life. And they become pretty good at it. If you look at, for example, music, Prabhupada said Ravi Shankar is a great sitar player because he sitar plays 7 lifetimes. You see even in our Western music, these people are not ordinary people, they were musicians in their last life. Automatically they're veering to playing instruments, become really good ahead of everybody else, because they have already some practice from past life, ahead of everybody else. They can play for hours music. I saw this famous tabla player who just died. This is not one life. Now people think this is a blessing to be a great tabla player, but it's actually a curse. Because your curse to something you like to do over and over again becomes a... I mean, who can imitate that? You know, when I heard him, I thought the guy must have 20 fingers to be able to play like that, you know? It's from previous life. Everything is previous life. So Albert Einstein was able to solve mathematical equations when he was 4 years old. Mozart, there's a famous musician in Germany from 17th century. When he produced music, he's the only musician known to mankind that produced his music from the first note to the last without any correction. Never corrected. You know, everything was perfect from the beginning to the end. And he was asked, how can you do that? And you know what his answer is? I'm not a composer. He said, I'm a secretary. He said, I hear the sound in my heart. And I just copy what I hear in my heart. It's definitely the super soul. It's guiding, you know. Savasya Chamlidi Samavishnu. From me alone comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And so in our Krishna conscious movement, we understand this, that our capabilities are very limited, and we understand it is Krishna who is the ability in man, that it is Krishna who is the strength of the strong, and it's Krishna who is, what else is there? The strength of the strong, the ability in man, and the intelligence of the intelligence. That Krishna is, and all whatever people know, even construction, complicated machinery, ultimately it is Krishna who sees before we see. Huh? Krishna. It is before we see, Krishna sees. You cannot even see without Krishna. You cannot feel without Krishna. You cannot taste without Krishna. It is that direct. You cannot even scratch your head without Krishna. Such a simple thing. You cannot. You can't do anything. We have in complete control at every moment. We have some freedom in terms of desire, but nothing works. And so when we come to a higher realization, that we actually see things as they are, that's also called pratyaksha, direct perception, but it is on the transcendental level. Raja Vidya, the king of knowledge, Raja Guyam, the greatest secret, Pavitam idam uttamam, it is most pure, pratyaksha avagamam dhanyam, it's the perfection of religion. So there is pratyaksha there, direct perception about it on the spiritual level, that we can see with our eyes. Premanjana Chudita Bhakti Lochanena Santaksa Devadeda Yeshu Vilokayanti, when the eyes are anointed with the ointment of love, then we can see Krishna. But in these eyes, people say, there's no Krishna. Where's Krishna? Show me Krishna. Why should Krishna reveal himself to people who are meat-eaters? Why should Krishna reveal himself to people who have no spiritual qualification? You cannot even see the Prime Minister without qualification. So everything is based on qualification, and Krishna conscious process of hearing and chanting and serving is to develop our capabilities, to develop our qualifications, to appreciate the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His manifestations in a direct way. Now we cannot. We can only see more. We see through Scripture. You see, like Prabhupada, he declared man didn't go to the moon. And so many devotees left Prabhupada, actually, Americans, they left. They're easy to join, easy to leave. They left, you know. Whereas we can understand that the moon is a higher reality. We may understand some of it, but that's only a fraction. Just like when a mouse comes here, she can understand a fraction of the reality of the temple. You know, so that's just a fraction, you know. The moon is a beautiful place. Maybe that whole beauty of the moon is hidden in a stone. Like Krishna, when Mother Yashoda looked in his mouth, The whole universe was there. It's inaccessible to us. We cannot see with our mundane eyes that which is beyond the frame, the envelope that is allotted to us due to karma. That's also an envelope. You can see so much. You know? So therefore it is important to follow scripture and follow Guru Shastra Sangha, as Narottam Thakur pointed out, because by the mercy of a spiritual master, perfect soul, a blind man can see the stars in the sky. He can cross over mountains, and he can, what is the other thing? There was a third, cross over mountain, become a great speaker. Without the mercy of Krishna, nobody can become a great speaker. And there's an example in my school. I went to a boarding school. It was a really fantastic boarding school in Germany. Very insightful teachers. Just like we had a classroom like this in this boarding school. The biology teacher came with 2 tomato plants. He said, now we put this tomato plant here, we put that tomato plant there, we feed the tomato plant exactly the same food, the same nutrition, and then we all go together and we praise this plant. Oh, good morning, it's so beautiful, lovely, lovely. The whole class was just praising the plant too. You're nasty, we hate you, horrible, what a horrible creature you are. Oh. She died after 2 weeks. She died. And the priest, the teacher said, just see, there's somebody inside. He's reacting emotionally to your treatment, you know. So it was very insightful to school, actually, you know. So it is like that, you know, that we are successful to emotions and actually to transcendental emotions. They cannot be imitated. You cannot imitate transcendental. Sometimes you see that. There was one time a man who came into the temple in Vrindavan. Prabhupada was sitting in his room, and he heard this commotion. And there was a man who was rolling over the floor in transcendental ecstasy. And people were holding his feet, and he was screaming, Krishna, Krishna, Radha, Radha. So Prabhupada heard it, and he said to Harikesh Swami, he said, take my cane and beat him. And so Harikesh said, how can I do that? He said, you must, just beat him. So he went inside and beat the man. The man got up and cursed him and yelled at Harikesh Swami, and cursing and yelling and screaming. He left the temple room. And Prabhupada laughed. He said, just see, he was fake. If he would have been genuine, he would have appreciated it. Beat me more, it's God. God is beating me. Give me more beating. You know? So Prabhupada was saying, we had a radical like this, you beat him. So this is all about accessibility, to get more access to Krishna. The ultimate access is if you can see Krishna's form. That's the ultimate access, the ultimate, how do you say, access card. The ultimate access card is to see Krishna himself, and we have to earn that. You know, it is not just us earning it, we have to do our best, and Krishna will do the rest. Krishna will do the rest. He will shower his mercy. It's interesting that Haridas Thakur even said that no one in this world is able to chant the holy name of Krishna without deviation. Nobody, he says, unless he gets the mercy of Krishna. You know? So with the mercy of Krishna, everything is possible. Without Krishna's mercy, we can only go so far. So, Hare Krishna. Do you have any questions?
I really want to know how you met Prabhupada first time.
I met Prabhupada first time. We went to Amsterdam, the whole temple, because Prabhupada was coming to Amsterdam. And I flew the day before into Amsterdam, and so I knew where the immigration is. At that time, we didn't have the European Union. Every country had to go through immigration. And so I came to immigration the day before, and so I knew Prabhupada is going to come to immigration. The devotees were waiting for Prabhupada. It's a conveyor belt where the suitcases are coming in. So I ran upstairs. And in fact, I have a photo of that. when I saw Prabhupada the first time, I lifted up my camera. This is my personal Prabhupada moment. Let me see if I can do it quickly. It's here. Yeah, for this I need the internet. So I have this picture that I lifted up the camera and Prabhupada waved like this. And that's my first moment with Prabhupada. And I fell on the ground, I cried and I laughed at contradictory emotions from one moment to another. It was an incredible moment. Prabhupada's feet passed by and I was surprised how small Prabhupada was. He was not very big actually, not very tall. He went up to here maybe. He ran a huge head actually on a very small torso. And he walked by, he went downstairs and we all followed Prabhupada into the VIP lounge. There was a VIP lounge where Prabhupada would address some journalists. And so, you see, I tried to hear Prabhupada before that on tapes. We had these tapes. And I could not understand so many things because Prabhupada speaking Bengali, English, he would say they're birds. What is birds? Bird is a bird, right? There are many birds, birds, there are many birds. And so I couldn't understand what the birds are, And so in the morning I listened to one particular class and I couldn't understand the birds and so many things. And then when Prabhupada spoke and I saw him speaking, I was surprised I could understand every single word. And so I went back to the temple and listened to the same class that I listened in the morning to before I went to the airport. And I could understand every single word Prabhupada was speaking. It was magic, very magical experience. And from that day on, I could understand, no matter what Prabhupada said, I could understand it. It was his mercy, So that was the first time we met Prabhupada. We went to the temple then, and we walked in Amsterdam. I remember there was one lecture in one park. It was full of young people. At least 10,000 young kids were camping out there illegally, And so Prabhupada gave a lecture there, and so he spoke and on a little stage, and it was beautiful. But then a journalist came, and he jumped on the stage and went to Prabhupada closer and closer. And with his camera, and ultimately he put his camera, and we were so stunned, we didn't know what to do. Was he holding his camera and a lens, and then Prabhupada said, "Ciao!" The guy ran away. And my godbrother Chakravarti, he followed him, he would follow him, and there was a huge tumult somewhere. And when Chakravarti came back, I said, "Did you beat him?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Thank you very much." Thank you very much. I enjoyed very much when I heard that. Even Prabhupada, there was a situation, there was a devotee, his name was Keshava. Keshava was a green beret, one of the crack soldiers in the Vietnam War, who go in and strangle somebody to death out of a bush, So there were devotees in the Los Angeles temple, on the Los Angeles airport. There was a man who would always take their books and rip them into pieces, and throw them into the bin. And the devotees were so angry. So this Keshava, he came back from Vietnam. He said, "I handle that." I handle that. So he went to the airport and he saw indeed, he was watching this guy for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, how he was ripping. So then he saw this man went to the toilet, and the rest is history. He had to be carried out by an ambulance, he couldn't walk anymore. So Prabhupada, he heard the story, he said, "Keshava, where have you been today?" He said, "I went to the airport." "What did you do at the airport?" He said, "I was just looking." He said, "What were you looking at?" "There was this man who was ripping these books of yours apart." Okay, what did he do then? I mean, he wouldn't tell anything to Prabhupada. Prabhupada had to pull it out of his nose, What did he do then? He said, well, I followed him on the toilet. And what happened then? What did he do on the toilet? Prabhupada, I beat the hell out of this guy. And then Prabhupada said, very nice. Prabhupada said, very nice. He heard that tape many times, It disappeared from the BBC archives, actually. They took it out, He said, very nice. Enjoyed it very much. So, there was an installation of the Jagannath deities there in the temple room. And Prabhupada came in at that visit, and Prabhupada came into the temple room, sat down in the asana, and he noticed there were no flowers around the Havan, So he said, where are the flowers? Where are the flowers? Who's in charge? Who's responsible for that? Where are the flowers? This is Krishna's mouse. We have to have flowers. And somebody said, Srila Prabhupada, the television's over there. He said, I don't care for the television. I care that Krishna has no flowers. He said, I don't care for the Prabhupada didn't care for the public. I read to you, let me read to you Prabhupada's attitude to the public opinion. This is just pure nectar. Wait a second, where do we have to go here? Yeah. Where are we here? Okay, here we go. Box. So he was talking to the director of public relations of the government of the state of Victoria. And the man said, we have to work with the public, we have to hear what people say. Their opinion is very important to us. Then we can judge what we can do. Then Prabhupada said, what is the value of opinion when people are like an asses? What is the use of taking the opinion of an ass? This vox populi, taking the opinion of the public, is degrading whole society. If your public is composed of drunkards, smokers, meat eaters, gamblers, women hunters, what is the value of their opinion? Why take the opinion of fourth-class men? What Krishna says, that is standard. Krishna is supreme, his version is final, no other opinion is allowed. When I introduced the principle of non-illicit sex, I didn't ask for public opinion. It must be done. It says in scripture. So we follow scripture, we follow what Krishna says, we don't care for public opinion. He says right there. And another one, very beautiful in this regard. There was one devotee, namely, who was it? It was Pradyumna. He said, what Srila Prabhupada, what do we do if people want to hear our message? Prabhupada said, the people might not understand our message, but Krishna will be pleased, and that is our mission. He said, they thought Jesus' mission was stopped, they killed him, but his mission was attained. He preached 3 years only, but so many followers. That means he pleased Krishna. We must not be disappointed that no one is hearing Krishna consciousness. We'll say to the moon, we say to the stars and to all directions, we'll cry in the wilderness because Krishna is everywhere. We want to have only a certificate from Krishna that this man has done something for me, not popularity. If a pack of asses says, you're very good, what is the use of that? You have to please Krishna with purified senses. Perfect. So probably we should never be bewildered by public opinion or try to please the public. There's a saying of an American philosopher, that religion that marries the spirit of the day, the religion that marries the spirit of the day, try to accommodate, you will be a widow tomorrow. That religion that marries the spirit of the day will be a widow tomorrow, because the husband will die. What's modern today is old-fashioned. What today is modern is old-fashioned tomorrow. So we should never be bewildered by what the public says, Of course, we don't try to misbehave, but at the same time, what their opinion is not important. Not important. What Krishna thinks is important. It's the most important thing. To please Krishna is the goal of life. Hare Krishna. We know each other a long time.
Anybody has a question, you raise your hand. Adi, what's your question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dar pranams, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, what is the one quality of Srila Prabhupada? Like we have all the 26 qualities of Vaishnavas were manifested in Srila Prabhupada. So, what is the one quality of Srila Prabhupada that touched you, Prabhuji?
Huh?
He's saying all the qualities of Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada had all the qualities of Vaishnava. What was very touching? Which quality was very touching?
Well, of what quality was Srila Prabhupada was I was most moved when he came to what was it, Uppsala University in Sweden. We all went there, and we had no idea that this university was the most radical left-wing university in the whole country. And nobody believed in it. There were no conservatives. Everybody was Marx and Engels and Lenin and Stalin, and Stalinist, Leninist, Maoist, anarchist. The whole plethora of Western radical atheism was represented in the university. That's why people came there. They enjoyed like anything. They were own. And so now all these people, they have different opinions of socialism. They don't agree with each other, they have different opinions. But in one thing they agree, and that is classless society. Classless society, they all agree, classless society. So Prabhupada had no idea, we had no idea. He sat down, and while he was giving lecture, while he was chanting Radha Madhava, he looked over his spectacles into the public. And so Krishna told him what it is. And so he said, Chaturvanama Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. There are 4 classes of men. There's first class men, second class men, third class men, and ordinary men, working class. And he kept talking on the first class, second class. And so people became so upset with that he dared to say this into their face. It was a complete antithesis of whatever they believed in. So they finally, somebody stood up, of course, Swamiji, you think you're first class man, sitting on a high throne, covered with flowers, and everybody worships you. Are you first class? And I was so angry, I was about to go and knock his teeth out. Coming from a German background, finish him off, drink his blood, or whatever. And so Prabhupada said, no. He said, you completely misunderstand me. And then he was very silent for a moment, and he said, actually, I'm a 5th class man. And there was dead silence in the room. And then he said, because I'm the servant of everyone. And I was sitting right there, and 2 big tears came behind his spectacles, And I realized the beauty of Prabhupada. He was a first-class man. At the same time, he was so humble that he considered himself the servant, because I'm the servant of everyone. That's what he said. I thought that was one of the most, profound moments in my experience with Prabhupada, that I saw that. He was so humble, very humble person, Like he says publicly, I have no qualifications. I only try to satisfy my spiritual master. My spiritual master said, if you have any money, print some books, He says publicly, I have no qualifications, Because whatever qualifications he had, he considered a gift of Krishna, not his personal qualifications, but Krishna gifted him. And it's true, Bhaktisiddhanta bestowed an enormous amount of sukriti on Prabhupada, and he was the one who actually could do that, what he was doing. Nobody else could. Nobody else was prepared to go to the West. Krishna Das, when Krishna's Babaji, we went together with Bon Maharaj. That Krishna's Bhagavatam. He went with Paul, he was one of them. They went to, yeah. He wanted to, Paul Maharaj wanted to see Hitler. So he went to the Reichskanzlei, he was sitting in his front room, reception room, and the door went open, he saw Hitler was going up and down in his room. And I asked what is happening, he said, well, he just went to war with Poland, with Russia. It was not a good time. And then later somebody explained to Hitler that this Swami from India was there. And he said, tell him to come back in 200 years. India is uncultured. They're so blind, to say the least. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premananda Hari Hari. We went through some park in that town of Amsterdam. We went through a park. It was Govinda Swami. He just took sannyas. It was Shivananda, who was present, and he was my initial contact in the Hare Krishna movement. And I was there in Prabhupada. So we walked through this park.
Okay, thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Prabhuji,
Pranam Prabhuji, धन्यवाद प्रणाम
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams, Dhanyavad Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Sagar Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Show your face, everybody.
Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
So much, Prabhuji, for wonderful.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
I'm going to be here for the next 4 days. I will be here.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Pranam Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Pranam
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Sagar Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.